Oops. Welcome. There we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name's Margaret Pinard. Hold on. It did not work like it should have. That's okay. So I'm a historical fiction and fantasy author here to do some book reviews because while I did fall short of my previous records, I did get some books read in the past 2 weeks. These are turning into bi-weekly book wrap-ups. So I got 4. The last couple times I've gotten 6, and this is 4 because I slowed down because of the heat, and then I absolutely could not think at all in the past 3 days. I got as much done in 3 hours in the morning as I could because everything had to be competing for the same time. And then slept on and off, tried to compose a thought, and ate as little as I possibly could and drank as much as I possibly could. I even had a cup of milk one of the days because it was something cold that I could have. But the heat wave in Portland has broken. I felt so much better last night, and it's hot again today, but not as bad. Not as bad. We're down about 10 degrees, so we can hack it. We can hack it. So welcome if you're new here. I do review books. I do love to read books. So what I have for you today are a few mysteries, romance, and a writing craft book. So let me say hello to the chat for all the people who are probably not new here today. We had a pageant here early, and judging by the thumbnail, all of these look cool. I'm very excited. I will say that I have been going through the last couple days in the afternoon period when my brain was functioning. I couldn't do it during the 3 to 6 period, but afterwards I was looking through the AWC videos and trying to get through the whole list. I'm only halfway, but I was watching Eloise Barr's presentation, and Paget's live chat comments were cracking me up. So you may want to go back and do that. And Shannon dropped in as well. Just got kiddo dropped off at therapy and now an appointment for me. So she's not going to catch the live, but giving her thumbs up in spirit. Much appreciated. Yes, every single thing Eloise said, Paget was like, this makes sense, even though actually doing them had never occurred to me. Oh, a foreign language. How neat. Actually, even less. I have tried Mandarin before, which is really funny. So lots of good stuff. Please go back and check it out. You'll find it on my page. Anita is here. AF Stewart, hello, hello. Is Anita's next? Yeah, Anita's is next up in the queue. So exciting to go back and watch all the AWC presentations. Maggie here, slipping in to drop a like. Have to catch the replay, doing a book launch today. Ooh, nice. Congratulations. Good luck. Mazel tov. So many good presenters this year for the AWC. Yes. So that is our first sally into what are you guys doing today? Besides recovering from the heat, hopefully along with me, I've been reading some interesting books. So let's okay, just checking to make sure I have all the things. So I thought I would do something a little differently for the reviews and read the first paragraph to give you a little taste instead of relying on my I don't know, whatever I'm going to say for the review. So this is my first Carrie Greenwood. I think I've watched most of the series on Acorn or, whatever the distributor is called in your area for an Australian production that's kind of like Annie or what have you. Carrie Greenwood writes the Phryne Fisher mysteries, and there's a 1920s, which these are, series, and there was also a spin-off series in the 1960s that kind of reminds me of the Avengers. But this is book 23, 18. There's a lot, right? So that's how many she's done, the top one of Phryne Fisher mysteries. And so, yeah, probably 25 or whatever. And my friend Rosie Cockshut has a burning love for this series, and I've been wanting to read it based on that because I like the TV series, so I thought, well, the book's got to be better, right? I picked up Death in Dalesford because it was used at my local bookstore, I think. Can't remember how it came to me now. And this is one of my, I need to ease my mind into something, but it's too hot. So I was just like really wanting to read something page turning. And this fit the bill. So Death in Dalesford is, I'm going to read the first paragraph. That's what I said I would do. And I'm going to do it. Give you the first taste. Okay. It was a lazy, late summer's morning in St. Kilda. The early sun was no longer the copper-colored furnace of January, and instead of beating at the window with bronze gongs and hammers, was knocking respectfully at the shutters, asking leave for admittance. Without, the tide was gently turning, lapping over the mid-ochre sands of the beach and promising light refreshment for anyone wanting a matutinal paddle. Last night's windstorm had blown itself out, and through the open window drifted a cool, damp sensation of overnight rain. Okay, this is actually wonderful for someone suffering through a heat wave, but that will give you a taste of the type of book this is. Historical mystery that leans heavily on jargon of the period and habits and mannerisms and lingo of the place and period. And it was a little too much for me. It was a little too much for me. You may well enjoy it. And I know Rosie has probably read all of them. She enjoys them very much. But for me, it came off as trying too hard to be louche. That's another one of those words from the era. And where the actress who plays Phryne Fisher carries it off because, like, she just has that élan, shall we say. Reading it just makes the character feel strange and unbelievable to me. So there's lots of great Aussie detail and history for the 1920s. We get different classes, we get different ethnicities, which I really love because we have not just the white Australian background, but the resolution, like in a flash, literally, I think it says that, like everything comes to her and then we see her reveal the resolution. Just made the characters feel a bit overdrawn, a little bit obvious to me. So yeah, and all the murders in plain sight. I would just put it in the same territory as a Dorothy Sayers novel, which are like too camp for me, I think is what the word would be. I'm not sure about how to use that word, so don't come at me if I'm wrong, but not my cup of tea. So there is your, I tried one and I'm definitely gonna send it on to someone else who will enjoy it. And yeah. All right, so back to the chat. Paget says there were so many great presentations. I was totally saturated with info and giggles. Yes. And we've got a cat paw. Oh, it didn't take my click there for a second. Hello. And a Nicole, a Phryne Fisher book. I love Phryne. Yes. I love the actress who portrays her. I think she does a fabulous job. Anita has seen some of the Phryne Fisher episodes. Haven't read the books yet. Leslie is here. Hello. It looks light and fun. Mia, hello. It is light and fun. So would I call it a cozy mystery? From time to time in the TV episodes, Phryne herself gets into danger and, there's some, I wouldn't say graphic, but sort of coming up against real life depictions. So I wouldn't call it totally a cozy mystery, but it's leaning heavily that way. And the unreality of the crimes is sat next to the luxury of her lifestyle and how everything works out really well in a sort of neat way. So light and fun probably covers it. And most people would probably like this, but it's just too much for me. Maybe it was the heat. Maybe we can blame it on the heat. Hey, Tiffany. Hello. A group of folks in today. So I was going to come up with a question of the day and ask it now between books 1 and book 2. And the question of the day, I'm just going to put it in the chat. There we go. How far are you through the AWC playlist? Because I'm only halfway and I feel like I've been listening to it for hours and hours. Um, but yeah, I do like going back and like leaving comments on people's presentations because that means that like I listened to it and I took something away from it. I actually am taking notes. Taking notes, folks, on the graph paper so you know it's serious. So that's good stuff. Okay. Next book, we have romance. We're alternating death with romance, you will notice. And this is Yours for Now by Leonor Solis. And you can tell from the cover, if you can see, it's a plus size romance. It is also a Latinx romance. And I got this book in a giveaway. So my lovely friend Cynthia at Bookwhimsy loves this author, and she was doing a giveaway for this book, and now I see her in the stories and stuff, so I think she's got a new book coming out very soon. And Leonor Solis seems to be a wonderful person. I'm following her and listening to some of her stuff on social media. So the book, oh, see, this is what people do now. They put the tropes right under the title. A fake dating plus size romance. I feel some kind of way about that. That's okay. That's okay. So first paragraph, so to give you a taste. Not even an ocean of people could stop me from searching for Lena at the Construction Cares Gala. The organization hosting the annual fundraising party seemed to be as dear to her as it was to me, and we spent some time checking in with each other every year, 6 straight times by my count. Relief coasted through my insides when all the faces around me parted like a biblical sea and her eyes locked with mine through the crowd. So we're already getting like romance vibes, right? So that's this book with this beautiful cover. It's very cheery and cute. So it's a workplace romance, which I was saying, like I've been reading tons of. I've actually had this for a while and just picked it up because I wanted something cheerful and romancy. But yeah, I have done a string of workplace romances, which is just getting me, JC. Like I need a workplace, obviously, with these fantasies. So what do we think about this book? So my first things are going to be nitpicky. There's some faults with formatting and like it's very big, you can tell. So it's giving me the vibes of the self-published book that I kind of try to fight against, like having a judgment, right? Because like it's not conforming. Is it the same as this? Is it the same? No, it's bigger. So the bigger books, I don't know, and the bigger spaces between the lines, stuff like that. Also, there are 2 points of view, but they don't alternate, and they're not named at the beginning of the chapters, and they're not evenly split. So I deduced that it was the male interest who starts out the chapter, but it doesn't go back and forth, and sometimes it's the same 2 in a row, and it doesn't say the name. And so I'm always like, oh, wait, whose voice are we speaking in? And then I have to sort of rearrange after the first couple sentences. So I would recommend, if you're writing a book with 2 points of view, that you put the names at the beginning, especially if they're unevenly split, because then you're not just going back and forth and it's predictable. But that out of the way, this story was definitely my kind of story. It was a heroine trying to break a barrier and gain respect in her workplace. And it was a hero risking his position of strength to abet her. And it's fake dating, so that deliciously opens up to real dating at a certain point. And yeah, the resolution is like confronting the demons, and obviously there's a happy ever after. It fooled me that it says yours for now, because like, is it a happy for now or is it a happy ever after? So I will leave that to you. But there's also a setup of the next couple, so I like that because then we get to see different characters in the same universe, and we get sort of Easter eggs if we read the next one. So that was fun. As I said in my last video, this is a book that made me cry in the mid-year Freakout book tag, because there's a family letter and like it's so what's the word? Heartbreaking. It's good, but it's heartbreaking, and so that made me cry. But it was a good sort of family drama moment to lead up to. The ending is fairy tale for sure, but definitely fits in the genre, I will say. And the next hero is up soon. So definitely recommend this. And you have links down below if you want to snatch it up. It's on Bookshop. This is where Anita, who's in Canada, is invoking the Fifth Amendment. I like that. Let's see. Catpot is about halfway, and I'm taking notes too. Lovely. I'm so glad to hear it. Paget says, I feel some kind of way about that too. It keeps happening, so it must be the new way, I guess. The trope spelled out on the cover. Yeah, I've never seen it on the title page before, but I do see it in the Amazon listing. And it's like you have the title, and then almost as big font in bold in that same space, you have the trope. And then you have all the other information. And I'm like, it's like a word cloud. What are you doing? But it's the way of things now, which is like, yep. Paget says, LOL, the workplace is the fantasy. You need the stolen glances and such. Relatable. Yeah. Is this a back and forth POV within some chapters a romance thing? Yes. So I think the general tendency or general procedure is that you would have 2 points of view, one from the, like, if it's a male female heroine relationship, you'd switch back and forth between the male and female point of view, because it's like dramatic tension to see what they're misunderstanding or know or don't know, etc. So you'd have chapter 1 in his point of view, chapter 2 in her point of view, chapter 3 in his, hers. But this doesn't alternate exactly like that. There's like 2 in hers, and then 1 in his, and then 3 in hers, and then 2 in his, and it doesn't have the name at the top. So Paget says, I saw it recently in a full-on romance, and the book was still good, but it jarred me somewhat too. I think that's pretty normal. Tiffany might be able to answer. Yes, I think it is. I know it's at the very least really prevalent and somewhat expected. Yes, that's my understanding too. And Tiffany writes in the genre, so there you have it. Just kind of went with it, kind of got used to it eventually. There you go. Anita says, Amazon uses the subtitles to rank books, so authors add keywords to subtitles. I know. Some authors stuff the subtitles, which is bad practice. But if it sells more books, right? Hi, Justiva is here. And that's 2 books, and we have 2 more to go. So this is your reminder, like and subscribe if you're new. So we're going to go on to book 3, which is another death book. Yeah. Nia agrees. I need the name of the POV character if it's switching. It's just courteous, you know? I think the trope cloud, Tiffany says, with the book name is definitely big in the romance genre, because we were told that readers gravitate towards their favorite tropes. And if you put it out there, they will buy. Pick up your book easier and faster because they know exactly what they should be getting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what we're told, and that's what the market says. So, okay, we're back to, this is like a real cozy mystery. So this is Death at Epsom Downs, and a Victorian mystery. A Victorian mystery. A Victorian mystery. Wow, I'm really garbling my words. It's by Robin Page, and I did not know when I picked this up that it was the same series as the Death at Gallows Green, because that was billed as a Beatrix Potter amateur detective. And this is the same, but they just don't call it that. It's just a Victorian mystery. So I didn't realize I was in the same series, but a little later. And so I got to compare and sort of see. And I will read you the first paragraph as a taste. It's very short. Walking along the racecourse on her husband's arm, Amelia Quibley thought she had never before seen such a crowd. Bookies in checked suits and green silk ties traded cries with betting men in gray overcoats. So, Epsom Downs is a famous racecourse, as you can see from the cover. There's not a significant cat in the story, so I feel lied to that there's a cat on the cover. But it is definitely a cozy mystery. So it's Victorian, so it's got that going for it for me. Yeah, historical mysteries are really great when your brain's not working and you just want a page turner. So these are what I turned to in the heat wave. This one is more cozy than the Carrie Greenwood, less like elevated. So she was trying for like the fashionable set, the sort of dramatic entrance of the gentry, I guess, in Australia. And this is more like she's an American who's moved to the UK and married into a wealthy family, but doesn't really care about titles, which is a trope in itself, right? And she's also a writer. So amateur detective who's also like a secret writer, although it's less secret now and everyone knows her pen name. And they go to the race course and there's like one murder after another. So let's see. It's fine. I called it too eggy of a pudding. There's definitely like a goody two shoes vibe that comes out more in this. It was in the last one as well that like the Beatrix Potter character gives off that vibe, I guess. She's definitely an odd duck. And then the amateur detective who is her friend is the real goody two shoes. So not my note to play. But again, good page turner. Old school mystery vibes. Oh, and here's the other thing. So both of my historical mysteries this week have lengthy quotations at the beginning of the chapters. And the ones for the Carrie Greenwood really did not excite me. There were like 2 documents they were pulling from, and neither of them really made sense. They didn't seem very germane. So one was Rudyard Kipling's The Sons of Martha, talking about the Sons of Martha versus the Sons of Mary. And the other one was Edward Fitzgerald's Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam of Naishapur, which is an English person writing a Middle Eastern tale. I don't know. It's famous, but like it's poetry that's taken out of context to sort of hint at something that happens in the chapter, but I didn't find it very relevant. And so reading through those like 8 or 10 lines and being lost and not seeing the point was really sort of annoying. But the quotations in this cozy mystery are really better. They are more relevant, and they're not from one document or 2 documents. They are from documents of the time period, which is always exciting to a researcher like myself, and really show something that is going to happen in the chapter or has been just commented on. And so like it's the word doping first appeared in an English dictionary about 1899, defined as a mixture of opium and narcotics used for horses. Drugs and the Performance Horse, Thomas Tobin, 1981. Okay, well, he's someone in 1981 who was actually researching, but most of them have stuff from the period or nonfiction about the period. Anyway, research tangent, pulling it back in. So I liked the paragraph quotations at the beginning a bit more, but really they are not my jam. It's just like naming chapters. I know there's a strong argument for doing that, and some people like it when they read, but I cannot be arsed to do that as an author, and I really just want to read the story. So as a reader, so that's my thoughts on that. Let's see. Wait. Oh, we had a fun time with the cat bait. Okay. Oh, okay. So Anita is saying stuffing the title doesn't sell more books and can get you in trouble now. Good to know. Thank you. Paget says, I'm so afraid of the keyword game ever since watching Sarah Sutton's video on having her stuff taken down for weeks over keywords. Ooh, shivers. Yeah. Paget says cat bait. That's funny. Just Eva says 1 star, cat on cover, not relevant. I would give this, a good 3-star, maybe more, for the story and the detail and the writing. And while, like I said, the goody two shoes vibe may work well for someone else, I know there's a whole corner of Booktube that is more into that. It's not really my favorite type of mystery. Looks cool though. Yep. Nia says, oh, there's no cat, but the cat is huge on the cover. I know. Check out Kindlepreneur's recent videos. Very helpful on keywords and ranking. Oh, good recommendation. So thank you, Nita. Nia says, don't fool me like that. Yeah. Not huge, just present on the cover. Use that 1 star as marketing. Yeah, not huge. Just like basically as big as some people. Anyway, doping was one of the new things. Like there were Americans bringing doping practices over to the Great British race courses and, ruining racing. It's pretty funny. Anita says, every cozy mystery seems to have a cat these days. Seriously. Seriously. All right. So that is the third book, last one, and my favorite. Okay, this was my second favorite. This is a really nice romance. Gave me some good feels. But this is my first favorite, and I definitely talked about it during my AWC talk, and also I think I hinted at it on my mid-year Freakout tag. So this is the writing craft book I alluded to, Fearless Creating by Eric Meisel, PhD. It's an old book. It's from 1995. It is not available on Bookshop, and so you have to find it where you will. I put I think I put a Blackwell's link or a library link, one of those two. And I will read the first paragraph, not the first paragraph. I found one that was pretty good representative in the first few pages, though. So, and then I want to, okay, I'll wait for my opinion after. Okay. Anxiety and the creative process. The greatest block to aliveness is anxiety. Anxiety is a word with a long history and many meanings, and doubtless conjures up many thoughts and feelings in you. In this book, I mean to describe the kinds of anxieties that inevitably attend each stage of the creative process. I'm like skipping down a little bit. If you are to create, you must invite anxiety in, but then you must manage it. If you can't manage this necessary anxiety, you will block. And we can start right now to call creative blockage the inability to manage the anxiety that attends the creative process, for that is what creative blockage most often is. Each stage of the creative process is characterized by its own kind of anxiety. The hungry mind anxiety associated with the original wish to create is different from the chaotic mind anxiety of working, and both are different from the critical mind anxiety and attached mind anxiety that make it so difficult to declare a work of art finished. So this was illuminating. This was a different framing than I have ever seen about the creative process, and I really clicked with it. So it's the approach of a psychologist who works with creatives all the time. He's had like a 50, 60-year career. And yeah, it's making, so I just watched Elaine Canyon's AWC presentation, and she's talking about neurodivergent cocktails and how people have different ways of approaching the world and processing information and dealing with emotions and or anxiety in her case. And so she's talking about how she makes those work for her and manages them and compensates for them in other ways and, makes it work for her. And this is very similar, actually, because he's describing the creative process as one where the energy to create is pretty much anxiety. It's like a restlessness, an itching, curiosity, like something that's scrabbling at the dirt of the cave. I don't know why I just got that image, but and how it changes through the process. And if you're good at one part of the process, you may be finding another part of the process less easy because it's like logical, and so that takes it off of, oh, I can't do this. It takes it out of the personal realm and says, oh, this is logical. And I don't know, that made me feel better. And 5-star book. I have read another Eric Meisel where he talks about creative people in the Bay Area, and it's illustrated by Paul Madonna, and it's a beautiful, pretty book. But this is the first one where I've read one of his psychological writing craft books, and I think it's just a perfect pairing of the two. And I found it really helpful. He goes through the process, the different stages, and sort of makes it clear that it's a cycle. And I just found it very helpful. So that is why I'm still knocking on. Of course, the heat wave totally demolished my brain power, but still knocking on with my work in progress and feeling fair about it. So yeah, let's see. Oh, we're still talking about the cat paw. Well, that makes sense. Most of my stories have a cat in them somewhere, but my planned cozy will have a dog in it. Oh, I like that. Do you recommend it? I'm curious about that one, but it's not available here yet. Yes, it's from It's from 1995, so I would suggest like looking on eBay or Half Price Books or like a used book dealer that ships internationally, because I'm sure there's copies out there, or an ebook. I don't know if they have an ebook copy, because 1995 is the beginning of the internet. He's got a lot of books, so they may not have like transferred them over. So the other exciting piece about this is that Shannon said she was interested in reading this writing craft book with me. And, her schedule is booked up until the fall, like 3 months probably. So I got a copy and she's going to go through this. And I suspect, because we have different approaches, that we will have a very like different and constructive discussion about the differences, how we think of his advice and how we implement it. I think that'll be really interesting. If you want to get a copy too and like group read, hey, that could only be more fun, right? Yeah. So those are my 4 books. I am currently reading 5. I have been thinking that I would be done with the Zola by now, but it just goes on and on. I still have like 2.5 hours listening to it. So the 5 books I am currently reading, and feel free to chime in with your current reads: Money by Zola, and I'm going to make a reading vlog about it at some point with 2 other books. So 3 total. Sorry, that was a little sleight of hand trick there. And then there's 4 physical books. Oh, and I'm reading subscriptions for authors after the Ream AWC presentation. So I'm reading Homegoing by Yad as a buddy read book with RK Stumbling Bear and Katja Weinert. Rachel finished it early because she just like clicked right through it. Katja started it late because she had another buddy read going on, and I'm sort of the one in the middle and trying to be like slow and measured about it because there's a lot to absorb in this book. If you haven't read it, which I know hardly anyone hasn't, but I found 2 other people that hadn't. It's an award-winning book, Yad Yassi's debut. It's about basically 2 sisters who at one point in time are split up because one stays in Africa and one is shipped out as a slave in the 17th, 18th century. And so we get to hear about the differences in each generation. I'm only 4 chapters in. They're pretty long, but it's a very interesting writing style and very deliberate. And we're having some interesting discussions on Voxer, so that's great. I pulled this out. I got this recently and figured it might be a good time to visit. It's Surviving Autocracy by Masha Gessen, National Book Award winner. And it's a fairly short book. I am a quarter of the way through it. And so far, it's detailing all the violations of democracy that were gone through leading up to 2020 and certain person's presidency. And I'm looking forward to the surviving part, where Masha Gessen will go into how do you combat the way that this changes the media? How do you combat the way that this changes community building? This kind of thing. So I finally got my copy and I'm reading on that. This is one of my Blackwell's book haul books that people liked the cover for. Light Rains Sometimes Fall, a British year through Japan's 72 seasons. It's such a pretty cover. So it's kind of like the Orchard book. It's very similar cover, actually. But this is a guy who's a conductor who started this project to observe the seasons, and his great love is bird watching, right as 2020 starts, like the month before the COVID lockdown happens in Britain. So he's got some interesting observations, and there's just a lot of beautiful nature ruminating. I am almost halfway through for that one, so that's been very enjoyable, very calming. And then the final one I just started yesterday when my brain was about to explode. I realized I'd had this from the library from a while and should probably start it. This is also a very short book. It's called Half Earth Socialism, and it's a couple of guys from Harvard affiliations, but one's at the European University. And basically they've done all this modeling to look at how to save the world. And it's through rewilding and, vegetarianism and energy quotas. And I'm like, yes, I'm here for this. Tell me. So they also have an online game, which I started playing, and it reminds me of Myst. If anyone remembers, like, old school computer game, Myst. I haven't played that since I was like 16, but it's just really cool. They have a different approach. They're talking to people in a different way. Still very smart, but like realistic, and explaining why positions have been taken and they need to be like broken down. So I was really connecting with that yesterday when my brain came back. How about you guys? What are the current reads? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Cat Paw says, so that's why I can't find it as an ebook. Yeah. Yeah. So tell me your current reads, and in the meantime, I will drop the link for a Patreon poll. So my book club is very small, so I try to get like the book club to vote on the books that they want, but also to get general opinion to see, just out of curiosity, if that might influence what we want to read. And so we had a request to read a romance in August, and so I put up some romance possibilities in the poll, and this is what we're looking at. So if you've got opinions, I would love to have you respond with them, whether that's here on the Twitter or in the Patreon blog posts. It's free to vote. It's not anything to tie you down. It's just something I put up and thought would be cute. These are all recommendations from booktubers. So you might be someone who told me about one of these books, like Kazan, or I can't remember, but definitely recommended. And that is why it's like coming to roost. I'm finally going to be reading at least one of these for August. So current reads, anybody? Ooh, okay. Wanda, hello. I'm reading Night of the Living Rez. Creepy horror, Indigenous lit. You're braver than I am, because let me see. Who's that author? Morgan Talty. Oh, they just came out with a new book too. Okay, I haven't read Morgan Talty. I read a different Indigenous horror author. There's quite a few very, very popular ones at the moment. I hope you're enjoying it. Jocelyn came in to give a like. Thank you, Jocelyn. Nice to see you. Cat Paw says, finished Lost in Time by A.G. Riddle yesterday, and now onto The Mountain and the Sea by Ray Naylor. I don't know either of those. They sound like dreamy kind of titles. Lost in Time, The Mountain and the Sea. They will sound very relaxing and cool, which is nice for me right now. Oh, and Wanda's reading The Heat Will Kill You First. Very melty as we were having a heat wave. Yes, I reviewed that book, maybe a year ago. It was so good. It was so good. Nonfiction, great reporter, different stories from across the country, across the world, and like really bringing it to the forefront. Like the heat is already here. It's already killing people. It's already making like terrible events happen. And, some people are still waiting to say if it's happening. You're like, no, it's here. It's here. Oh, okay. Wanda's run. Yinka, where is your husband? Oh, good. I think this is the one we're going to end up reading, because I've got 2 votes on that in the poll on Patreon and 2 votes on that, 3 on the Instagram poll. So I put the Instagram poll up again today just to try to get more data. You don't need to vote on it again if you already did, but I figured do it more than 24 hours. But yeah, I think that's the one we're leaning toward, which is very exciting for someone who's single to see how Yinka combats the patriarchal pressure. Anita says, I started reading Inujini by Angela Yuriko Smith. Yay! So Angela Yuriko Smith is the channel Authortunities now. I think she changed her channel name in the past year or so, and I saw her turn up and visited the channel and was like, oh, I remember her name, and I was like, that's so cool. So she's out and about, and I'm very excited. You're reading her book. That's great. Just Eva. I voted for either Stealing Thunder or Yinka, but I forget which now. It was a toss-up, and after my vote, it was split 50-50 between those two. Yeah, that doesn't help you remember, does it? Yeah, Stealing Thunder, Elena Boyden. It's about someone who it's like interpreting in a fantasy romance someone who is like transgender in that their soul was born a different gender from their presentation. And so I'm very curious as how it's portrayed. So Anita, also need to get back to Murder at Spindle Manor by Morgan Stang. Oh, did the Morgan remind you maybe? Murder at Spindle Manor. Does Spindle Manor house spinsters? I can't say that 3 times fast. That's a mouthful. Yinka, Where's Your Husband was a fun read. Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad we have a vote of a person who's actually read it. That's very confidence inspiring. And then Cat Paw is talking about The Mountain in Time and Mountain in the Sea and Lost in Time. Sci-fi, suspense, time travel, alternate history. That's a lot of genres. Okay. Okay. Like, I'm trying to think of those together. Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, so that's the poll. You can find it on Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube community tab. But that's like my next step. We're going to decide and then read that for August, which is like around the corner. So those are my 4 books. Those are my current reads. That is my poll. And I'm going to turn the light off and get back to cooling the apartment and maybe watch some more AWC presentations. So thank you all so much for coming and listening to me talk about books and sharing your opinions. And I'm excited about the August book club. So happy reading. Take care. Stay cool. And I will see you again soon. Bye, everybody.